collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Core Class Energon Universe Megatron from the Transformers Legacy United line from Hasbro. I'm really excited about this one. I've always loved this design for Megatron. I had a good time with Energon in general. I'm kind of wondering if this means that all of the Energon releases are going to be in the Core Class, because to me it would be kind of weird to do Megatron in Core Class and then do some of the other characters in Deluxe or Voyager. But I could be into just doing all of them in Core Class. I think that could be kind of fun, especially if they do like a way for the Core Class figures to do the Super Link. I think that'd be really fun. And also, you know, maybe a prototype for a Victory Multi-Force or something, because they transformed in quite a similar way, so that could be a lot of fun. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. But in any case, here we have Core Class Energon Universe Megatron. Nice artwork here on the card of the vehicle mode. We have that plastic-free packaging, so there's no window here on the front. And we just have artwork of the vehicle mode again on this side. And then over here we have that half of the Legacy United mural. Not really anything going on the bottom, just have the Legacy United logo there on the top. And then spinning around to the back, we have some product shots for the vehicle mode and the robot mode. And it looks pretty cool. So I'm excited for this one. I'm going to go ahead and get him out of the packaging here, and we're going to take a closer look. Here is Energon Megatron out of the packaging, and he's pretty cool. I do really like this design for Megatron. It was very out there at the time, but I really enjoy it and still really enjoy it to this day. This guy comes with a decent amount of accessories. So as you can see, we have these two guns that plug into the shoulders to replicate that look from the original toy. And then he's also got this kind of tank with the sword piece. Now in the original toy, the sword part of it was removable, so you could have just the tank as his arm cannon, or you could attach the sword and flip it around. Because this guy's so small, this is not removable. This is one solid piece, but it's just pegged into the arm here with this large peg. So of course you can peg it on either way. So if you want him to use the sword, you can absolutely do that. If you want him to use the gun, I mean, you don't even have to really unpeg it. You can just kind of flip it around. But unfortunately, there's no way to take that sword off. I will say, though, that this is a cool little accessory. There's a lot of nice detail here, which you'll see if my camera can ever focus. There we go. So there's a lot of nice molded detail there. No paint, which I understand it is just kind of a tiny little piece, very hollow underneath. But it does what it needs to do. I'm going to go ahead and put that off to the side for the moment. So we talked about these two cannons here. The nice thing about these is, with the original toy, they were on a swivel, so you could rotate them forward if you wanted. Here, they just have two different pegs, so you can have them vertically, or you can peg them in facing forward if you want him to use them as weapons. Or if you want, he can actually just hold them. You can remove them, and he can actually just hold them in his hand, which is cool. And they are blast effect compatible, so you could peg something on the end there if you like. So I appreciate that. It gives you a lot of options, which I like a lot. The head sculpt, I think, is pretty good. A little simplistic, but I like the orange eyes, the white for the face, the blue paint there for the crown. Decepticon symbol here on the chest is looking nice. We've got the blue abs down here. Some nice blue paint down here on the shins and the bottom of the feet. Nice big heels, which helps him stand. And then you have some nice paint here on the wings as well. I don't know, I just always liked this like gray and blue and fluorescent green color scheme. It was always a little weird, but I always kind of liked it. Articulation-wise, the head can rotate from side to side. It's not a ball joint, so it doesn't move, it just rotates. You have a ball joint here in the shoulder. Because of this piece, it does kind of hit into the head. Now again, you can remove these. So if you need to get some articulation out of this, it's still not going to be possible because the shoulder is actually what's hitting there into the part of the body. So it's not even though it looks like the gun is the problem, because it's hollow there, the crown kind of folds into that. So you also have this piece here in the armpit, which is used to peg it into the side for the transformation, which doesn't really get in the way, but it feels kind of in the way when you're moving the arm around. You have a ball joint here for the wrist. I guess, I'm sorry, the elbow. The wrist is a solid piece. There's nothing here in the wrist. Nothing in the waist. The hips, you can kick pretty far forward. Can't really kick back all that much because of the backpack, but you can kick pretty far out to the side. You do have a thigh swivel, actually, which is nice. The knees are a little loose, but basically you can see that there's this tab here, and that kind of tabs into the leg to kind of keep it snug in the leg. But then when you start utilizing the knee, it starts to get kind of loose. As you can see, it's not the best. So it's pegged in snugly when it's a full leg, but then you start using the knee, and that gets a little loose there, which is kind of a bummer. But you do have some back and forth here in the ankle, mostly because of the transformation. So decent articulation. You can also kind of move the wings a little bit. If you have, like, if you want to try to use it as a shield, or if you just want to kind of get clearance, you can put these all the way back if you want whatever look you like. I kind of like them at like a 45-degree angle like that. Let me give him his blaster back. So overall, I think he's pretty cool. He's not perfect. Like I said, the loose knees are kind of a bummer, but at least they have a way to kind of stabilize so he can stand, so that there is at least that. The arms don't have a great range of motion because of how they kind of hit, and because that peg in the armpit and then trying to go forward, you're not getting much out of that. So there's some hindrances with the articulation. But if you just want a cool little Megatron to put on your shelf, I think he looks pretty good. I will say he feels a little small. I was really hoping, so I have this Energon Prime, which is a Kabaya model kit set from Japan that I have actually reviewed, and I'll put the link to that at the end of this video. And I was kind of hoping these would scale, but he's a little bit too big. But then honestly, I was thinking Megatron kind of looks just small in general. And I feel like even for a core class, he's a little tinier than usual by about 1/4 of an inch or so. Now, obviously, you have the guns, so that make him taller. But if you're talking like top of the head to top of the head, I feel like Sound Blaster here is a little taller. Again, not a ton, maybe 1/4 of an inch. But Megatron's a little bit small for a core class, in my opinion. I mean, I could probably still make this work, at least for now. But, you know, I wanted to kind of put, when I got this, I suddenly remembered I had this, and I was like, wow, this will be great. They'll go well together. And they're not so ridiculously mismatched. And it could just be because, you know, Prime's so fat. But they do kind of look cool together, so I'm kind of happy with this. And I just wanted to show real quick that this toy does have a super mode, which I think is pretty cool. And again, these two aren't really going to scale very well in this proportion. But when I was saying earlier that I was kind of interested in Hasbro continuing Energon as core class, I would love something like this done by Hasbro, because this was kind of like 2 little sets, and it didn't come with a trailer or anything like that, and it doesn't have great articulation. There's no elbows in the smaller mode or anything like that. The larger mode, it definitely lacks articulation, and it feels a little bit cheaper because it was like a candy toy kind of situation. But I would totally be into Hasbro doing something very similar to what they just did with that Prime and Bumblebee and trailer set, but just doing Energon Prime with the trailer, with the 4 modules here, and, you know, having the super mode and able to kind of mix and match and all that kind of stuff. I would so be into that. I mean, even if it was like $40 like they did for the other set, I think that could really be worth it. Have a nice, decently articulated core class Energon Prime with the trailer and the 4 modules would definitely be something I would be interested in, and that could be a lot of fun. So I'm kind of crossing my fingers that they're going to do something like that, because I feel like you can't really do Prime from Energon without his combined pieces here, because it's kind of just like a weird proportioned fat little guy, and his truck mode is nothing to write home about. So that was a toy that was very much in service to its gimmick, which was great. I loved it. But I feel like you can't release like just the Prime without the rest of it, because then that's like the most boring part of the whole thing. So I would totally be into Hasbro doing something like that, and I'm kind of crossing my fingers that they do. Alright, getting into Megatron's transformation, I've gone ahead and removed the arm cannon. Now the directions tell you to take these cannons off as well. You don't have to, honestly. They don't really get in the way all that much, so I wouldn't even really worry about it. You're going to start, I want to make sure that the wings are kind of back and out of the way. You can take the forearms here and swivel them around 180 and also kind of bend them up like this. So that's kind of how you want the arms to be oriented. And then you can go ahead and peg them against the body. Now, I'll be honest, mine don't stay against the body all that well. They like to pop off of that little peg. It's not a huge deal because something's going to happen later on that's going to keep them in place. Well, they're cooperating right now. Okay, fine. Make me look stupid. But they were popping off a little bit earlier. Then you're going to take the head and rotate that 180 degrees, just like that. This whole piece will come around, and you can see that there are 2 tabs right there, and there's 2 little notches on the top of the chest there. And that's going to just lightly snap in there. Next, we are going to come to this section. And I guess you'll have to move the arms out of the way so that this piece can spin, which I just realized I had it wrong this whole time. So this is how it's supposed to be in the robot mode. And then you're going to rotate it 180 degrees for this mode. So sorry about that. Although, as you can tell, it doesn't look super different, honestly. Which is probably why I couldn't tell. But here we go. So this is the way it's supposed to be for the vehicle mode, and then pop these back into place like that. Then you're going to come down to the legs. You're going to fold up these giant heels, and then you're going to use the thigh swivel to rotate these inwards so that the 2 kneecaps are kind of touching. And then you're going to bend this up, and then bend this up. And then you're going to peg this big blue peg right here into this tab right there. So pop that in the tab slot there. Come on. There we go. So bring this up and tab that in. And it can be a little difficult. Just because the arms like to move around a little bit while you're trying to tab this in. But there we go. And then at that point, you're just going to kind of... I like to kind of tilt the hands back as much as I can, just for clearance. And then you're going to just kind of bring this down. Now, you can kind of push it all the way down if you want, but I think that looks kind of silly. So again, I like to kind of leave it at a 45-degree angle. And then we can bring the tank back in. You can see there are 2 big tabs right here, and you have these 2 tab slots here on the back, and you just drop this on top and peg that in, and there you go. There is your Energon Megatron in vehicle mode. It's fine. It's not the best. I don't love the hands. I wish there was a better way to hide the hands. I mean, I guess, like I said, you could push these down and that hides it a little bit more, but then I think that kind of looks silly. It would have been nice if there was a hinge here. I understand why there's not. It's a core class figure, so I'm not going to harp on it. I mean, for the most part, you know, it gets it across. I think it does what it needs to do. You know, you do kind of see the arms and the legs and the chest and the head all underneath here, but again, it's a core class figure. I think it looks pretty good here in the vehicle mode. Again, love the colors. You know, you get a lot of blue here on the vehicle mode. You get that fluorescent yellowish green. Some nice paint over here for the canopy. Yeah, he's a fun little dude. So I think Megatron is fun. I mean, he's definitely not perfect. I wish he had a little bit better articulation, just especially in the shoulders. I feel like you have a lot hindered there with the extra tab in the armpit and the wings that close to the back. Although I will say, it turns out when you actually transform the wings correctly, the fuselage here will lay much flatter on the back, so that's a plus. I mean, he looks good. I love the color scheme. I think the paint applications are pretty good. I love the guns up here. I like that you can peg them in so that they're flipped forward since there's not actually a hinge there. I think that was a smart way around it. I like the, gun, sword, arm cannon thing we got going on here. You can attach it to either arm. You can have it as a cannon or a sword. Again, I would love it if you could pop the sword off. I totally understand why you can't. So overall, like I said, for a $10 little figure, I think he's a lot of fun. I think he looks pretty good. Transformation, it gets the job done. And the vehicle mode is, a nice representation of the original toy from back in the day. And, at this scale, there's only so much they can do, so I can't really fault them too much for that. But, you do completely see the entire robot underneath, and I get it. So, again, is he the best core class I've ever seen? Probably not, but I think he's fun. I think he gets the job done. And I think it's kind of interesting that they're starting this size class with this whole Energon universe. And if it's something they're going to continue to do and kind of give us more Energon characters all in core class, I think that could be kind of fun. I think they're kind of getting to realize that there are so many years that they're kind of cramming in with Armada and Prime and now Animated. They can't really get through all of them in, you know, the deluxe and Voyager class sizes. So they decided to take one show, and maybe they'll just commit to all that in core class. And I think that's a fun idea, and it could be really neat. Like I said, if they wanted to do some kind of set with Prime and his trailer and the 4 components, and do that as like a $40, you know, core class set, very similar to what they just did with Prime and B in the trailer, I would 100% be into that. If they wanted to somehow do like a deluxe, what was his name, Wing Saber, and then have that somehow combined with the core class Prime, or, you know, they have ways to do this, but something like that I think could be really cool, where they kind of almost start like a core class adjacent sideline where it's like not quite a deluxe, but it's a little bit bigger than a normal core class, because in that universe that character would be a little bigger, you know, almost kind of like what Magic Square is doing. I think that could be a lot of fun. You know, try it out with Energon and see where it goes. Yeah, could be neat. So in any case, hopefully this guy is the start of something awesome to come, but I'm having fun with him. Definitely recommend checking him out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.